the history of the I Ching is really interesting, how it came to be written and seared. And we know that it was then translated into Latin. It was sent to Leibniz, the great German philosopher, by a Jesuit who got it translated to English, which inspired Leibniz to create binary mathematics based on the unbroken and broken lines, which is the root of all our electronic digital age, computing age, is all based on binary maths, which came from the I Ching through Leibniz. So that's an example of the Tao at work, I would say, in history. What I said in my transpersonal history thesis is that that's the interesting bit about history, is joining up the dots between the sages of all these different epochs. You know, going underground, finding the gold trails that connect them all. That's what's really exciting, I think, and what we need to do to save humanity. Because there's good news, there's gold in all these traditions. What we shouldn't be doing is like bombing and attacking the other ones to affirm our own self-importance. You know, so yes, there are, and Chuang Tzu is another great Taoist philosopher who lived from 399 to 295 BC and wrote Paradoxes. Because sometimes truth is both and it's a paradox. Okay, those are any questions about Taoism?
Not yet. Let's see. Can I think of something?
It's very prevalent still in Taiwan. If anyone wants to go to Taiwan, please invite me along.
Oh, right.
I'd love to go and spend 6 months in a Taoist temple in Taiwan, studying all this stuff in you know, learning Chinese, but that might have to wait for another life.
Hi.
And of course the concept of yin-yang is important here, because Taoist philosophers realised life comes in this binary dialectic, and male-female is one way of exploring that.
That's perhaps a question. Anything else on binary? Is there other religions or civilizations with other ways of thinking than binary? Like going up to 3 or 4 or 5?
Good question. Yes, I would say that in the new religious movement box called Miscellaneous, we have 119. We have science fiction writers that create realities, alternate realities. And one of them was called Ursula Le Guin, who wrote a famous science fiction novel called The Left Hand of Darkness. And in that, she envisions a planet where there are 3 genders.
Oh.
There's male and female and the in-between people. And it's a very cleverly constructed novel. And, for instance, the females only become sexually available, not, you know, all the time or once a month, but once a year they have a brief moment of fertility. And otherwise they're not interested in sex. So what Ursula Le Guin was doing was kind of exploring through science fiction what you're talking about. You know, what might gender be on other planets, in other worlds? It's interesting. So I think that would be the box I'd go to for that.
All right.
And also, yes, in the American Indian tradition, say the Sioux, the Lakota people I talked about earlier, number 8, they also have a place for the in-between people who are neither properly male or properly female, but a bit of both. And they're often the tricksters, the Wovokas, they call them. They can be both male and female depending on the context. They have the wisdom, the compassion, the nurturing aspect of the feminine, but also the let's get it done, testosterone thing of the male. And you need both, right?
Let's get it done.
Let's get it done. And so you draw on that depending what's needed. And they have this god who's the spider god, who's a trickster god in the Lakota people, who you know, weaves the spell of life. Yes, Iktomi, the spider teacher.
Oh, that sounds nice.
He's the god called Iktomi, who teaches the complexity of life, really.
Spider is nice.
The Spider-Man, you know. Yes. Okay, Right. Well, let's move on and do our God card, shall we?
Okay,
Of
just
the
taking
day.
care of the
Yeah.
fire.
Please do light the fire again. We don't want to die of cold here. Put some more logs on. And you might want to put some of the fine graded in the plastic bag. That's like smaller wood.
Ah, okay.
Sparks it up, gets it going. Yes. Right, I'll let you shuffle. And it's time for a new candle, I believe. Ha.
Right. So,
Hooray. Right.
thank you.
Great stuff.
Dagda, I remember him.
Okay, that's a good one. Can I have the cards? I'll do one as well. We'll have 3. Yes. Aha. So, okay, what did you get? Oh, you haven't done it yet?
No.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
No.
Okay.
Hold it. Oh.
Okay, well that's good. So, interesting. So, this is sort of reading for our time that we're going through from the Tarot of the Gods, which is all the male deities. We've got the King of Earth first. We'll do your one, Dagda, who's a very important Irish and Druid deity. He's very strong. He has a huge club, and he has a cauldron that never dies. He's a great host. There's always a party at Dagda's, place. But he's a very strong man who gets stuff done. So going back to my comment about testosterone, we need the male to do stuff. I think that's what Dagda represents. And you've been doing a lot of work around the place, and that's what we all have to do. So there's a lot to be done and fixed on this planet in terms of peace. I note that Ireland has fallen out with Israel, and Israel's recalling its ambassadors from Ireland because they dared to say, well, hang on, what you're doing in Gaza is a genocide, and you've got to stop. So I don't agree that Israel should be recalling its ambassadors. I think Ireland's very brave to say, hey, this is genocide, stop it. And we should support them. And that's the courage and energy of Dagda saying that. My friends in Ireland that have launched this Lex Innocentium, which I think you know about and maybe signed even.
I did, yes.
Yeah, excellent.
I remember.
Good. Yeah. And these are the pens we use to sign them. So thanks, Sean. We need the world to rally round to the Dagda position, which is that life is precious, love is precious, and we shouldn't be killing each other. Life is precious, and we seem to think that human life doesn't matter and we can just kill it. But every Palestinian child, man, woman, and child, is precious. What we should be doing is re-educating them to not hate Israel. I'm a bit unusual in that I love Israel, I love Palestine equally, and I want peace between them too. Now that's a Dagda project. The Truth and Reconciliation Commission for the Middle East is about everybody gets a party bag and is happy at the party. Palestinian people I've met and worked with, and they're incredible people. Arab Christians, Muslims of all different kinds, intellectuals, secular people. They don't deserve to be bombed and attacked. I think we should be really wondering why Hamas was allowed to take power in Gaza. This was the mistake. Israel should have been helping the people of Gaza to build confidence so they didn't go down the Hamas route. And I'm pleased that Netanyahu is now facing court. He's now being tried for corruption. I'd like to extend the charges against him. I believe there's a lot of evidence that he helped build up Hamas deliberately. And that's a Dagda project. You need courage to do that. Well, we've got it. Dagda's the king of the earth. Ireland will win this little fight because truth and common sense and fair play and the kind of values that Europe stands for, have to prevail over madness. So that's my reading of why that card has come in. Courage, my dear Irish friends. We've also got, very appropriately, we've got Baal, the five of earth, who was the most important Phoenician god. We were talking about Phoenicia, and we're talking here about Lebanon, which is, touch wood, no longer being bombed by Israel. They've managed to get a truce there. My dear Lebanese friends, need to rebuild their country, and I think Hezbollah, needs to just blend into the landscape and stop throwing missiles around and let the Lebanese army take over Lebanon's defence. I mean, the whole point of Hezbollah was to be strong, brave. We're standing up to the big beast of Israel. But again, I would have said you should do that through education, not through violence. I would say that if great Lebanese intellectuals had engaged in dialogue with Jewish intellectuals, we wouldn't have had all these wars. We could have had dialogue, we could have had philosophical reconciliation, and we still can. After all, it was, the Lebanese, the Phoenicians that built Solomon's temple, and if there's going to be a third temple, some people want to rebuild it in Jerusalem. Well, the Lebanese can help, but you've got to stop bombing them. You've got to make peace. And they gave the alphabet to not just Israel and Hebrew, and Aramaic, but also to the whole of Europe. The Latin alphabet, Etruscan, Greek, all come from Phoenician. So, and ultimately the Arabic alphabet descended from there. So I think Baal is part of this conversation, and it simply means the Lord. Baal is Old Phoenician for the Lord. And so when you read in and for instance, Baal Shem Tov meant the master. Baal means master and Lord. So the master of the name of goodness, Baal Shem Tov, was a great Kabbalist from Ukraine. Each of us needs to activate our own mastership. So when you go to academia, you do a master's degree. That's when you become a Baal. And my Syrian friend explained that in street Syrian, a woman will call her husband my Baal, meaning my lord, my master. It's a term of affection.
What a nice civilization.
Well, Lebanon is very sophisticated. Aldous Huxley, who was a great English writer, novelist, scholar, but he was also a linguist, and he wrote a very important book about the origin of the alphabet. And he went to the place where the Bible came from, Biblos, which was where the alphabet was first sort of invented, and that's why we call it a Bible. Or in France we talk about a bibliothèque, bibliography. All these words come from Biblos. And Aldous Huxley went there, and he wrote a book about his time exploring. He went to the old ruins of the temples in Lebanon in like the 1930s. It's a classic. I think he called it something like homage to Adonis, who was the god of, one of the gods of that region, which has come into Hebrew as Adonai. Again, it's another name of God. So yes, we love Baal, thank you. Peace in Lebanon, please. And then there was El, he's like another deity, a Semitic deity, the five of air. And he's the origin of Elohim in Hebrew, which is the plural of El. So El is a single God, the one. And it's the origin of the word Allah as well, which is the God in Arabic, which is related to this language. And Elohim is just the gods. And the Bible says it's the Elohim that created the world. Most people don't realise that. It's been badly translated. It's the gods that created the world. And El is the king of the gods. And he was worshipped at in Syria at Ras Shamra in the Ugarit language, and we know because we've discovered the library and translated the texts from Old cuneiform. And El is a really interesting deity with a sophisticated mythological story. He's the five of air in the elements. And there was a very great Jewish sage thinker, Moses Gaster, who wrote a book saying that these old Semitic gods were characters in a drama that was reenacted ritually during the year. So El would have to contest with other deities for who's the king of heaven, you know, and he was deposed by other gods who would come along and challenge him. And this guy, Gaster, believed that it was done in that way because it was a ritual theatre that was played out in the temples, and the priests and priestesses would dress up. So somebody would play the role of El, somebody would play something else. And that guy founded the religious studies department at the University of Barnard University in New York. And he was, a genius, I would say. Someone that loves theatre because of the Delphic Games. We want theatre to be at the heart of the Delphic Academy's work. So really that card stands for competition and struggles and disagreements, which are, wherever there's two humans, there's always some kind of quarrel going on. If you have three, then it gets really complicated. And El is the one that can heal this. And it just means God or deity. And it's a Semitic word, Il, it's the same root, or Al, Allah. So here's a text from Phoenician amulet from the 7th century BC. The Eternal One, Olam, has made a covenant oath with us. Asherah has made a pact with us. And all the sons of El, and the great council of all the holy ones, with oaths of heaven and ancient earth. Now that's I love that text. And Asherah is the wife of El. So El has a goddess, Asherah. And the Phoenicians recognize the goddess is equally as important as the gods. I can't wait, I'm waiting for somebody to make a goddess tarot, as I've done one of the gods. I want the tarot of the goddess, but in as much detail as I've done.
Okay, nothing less.
2 volumes, 1,000 pages, please. I mean, proper stuff, right?
Yeah.
Because at the moment the goddess tarots are all just little ones. We need a proper detailed one. And I don't want to have to do it alone because I'm busy doing other texts now, like the 99 Names of Peace. So anyway, El is understood as the father of heaven. When the Greeks found these people, some said, well, he's Zeus. And others said, no, he's Kronos, who was the king of the gods before Zeus. But certainly he's a very important god. So there's lots of interesting information. Exodus 6:3 says, I revealed myself to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob as El Shaddai, but was not known to them by my name, Yahweh. It's only to Moses that he reveals his innermost name, which is Yahweh, which means being itself. El comes in a lot of the names in ancient Semitic cultures, including Melchizedek, who was his god. And it was Melchizedek that blessed Abraham when he first appeared. So I think if we go into the roots of all these god names, the deities, that's the reason I wrote the Tarot of the Gods, I think we could get healing for the people of Syria and the people of Lebanon and the Irish and the Hebrews and Israel. By the way, Israel comes from El.
Aha.
It means he who struggles for God, Israel. And it was the name given to Jacob after an encounter with an angel, which is in the text, but the Kabbalistic meaning of the term is he was having a shamanic initiation, and realized that he had to like struggle for God. Another interpretation says he fought with God, struggled against God. I think that's a silly interpretation. Nobody can struggle against God and survive. It's you have to surrender, and then you can be a servant of God. So anyway, yes, these gods are fascinating. I think they shed light on the geopolitics of the collective psyche, to explain it in Jungian terms.
Nice combination.
It's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
Excellent. Any questions or comments?
About the card of Al.
Yeah.
Are the other gods standing at foot of that hill?
Well, he's up there symbolically to show that he's the king of the gods, right? So he's on the top of the mountain.
But the one at feet, just other gods?
I think they were intended to mean some people are going off on walkabout. And Abraham in particular was sort of a nomad who was taking the El story out of the town. He didn't want to associate it with just one town and one temple, but it was something to take around, and it's everywhere when you look up in the night sky. And it's a full moon tonight, so it's beautiful when you go walkabout.
It is.
And when we go walkabout, we see the glory of El. It's what I think that card is saying.
Well, since every detail on the cards tend to mean something, I
Sure.
wanted to ask.
No, it's a good question. Yes. The artist is a Syrian who came here and painted these things. Yes. And we're still trying to track down the originals, aren't we? Have we had any joy from the printing company? Has he got back to you?
I phoned again this morning.
Did you?
Yes.
And,
I left a nice message.
Okay, but no
cuckoo.
reply.
We are wondering, are you well?
Okay, well, it's somewhere in Montluçon. There's the originals. We'll track them down.
Oh, you're on a quest to get them back. I didn't know that.
Well, I mean, or make a new set. I want another set of the cards, another 10. But he's just playing hard to get. We don't understand why. But there are people that want the sets. Right. Okay. I'm going to finish with a poem. Is that all right? Just to close the proceedings, because I think poetry is the key here. Because to me, poetry is what expresses the absolute in our particular magic. Okay, here's a poem. It's called Song Nets. I wrote this in 1995, which was a very busy year for me.
What is the meaning of the title?
Song Nets, okay. So it's taken from the Aboriginal culture notion of song lines. So in the Aboriginal culture, they believe that songs are what make the landscape. And their shamans, Aboriginal seers, they all learn the songs of the place. Every place has a song. And then they learn to track them across huge distances across Australia. And those are what are called the song lines. And when you go walkabout with these people, they teach you the songs, right? This was revealed to the West by a brilliant writer who wrote a book called Song Lines, which you may not have come across. I've got a copy, I think. Anyway, I'm taking that idea, but I'm calling it song nets. A net is like is a more complex structure.
Yeah.
Un fil en français, n'est-ce pas?
Un filet.
Un filet, oui, c'est un filet. C'est les filets des chansons. Okay. I cast a net to catch you in. Found myself weaving out of shards and patches, dissonances, shadows, veils, and flowers, sutras, spells. Found myself woven from your greater web, formed out of fire, inside your high diamond hall of sky, arcing within your vast circling space of sparkling stars, shimmering through your gaze of grace, dreamed into being whole again. Offered you all these small, poor, pallid letters of light, encrypted with most secret meanings, whispers, glimpsed joys, rebirths, glanced down from your rays of primal reason, become many through our diverse utterings. If poets could unsay the madness of this world, we would rhyme peace, chosen beyond all glory, fame, honour, immortality, simply peace. Her slow fecundity, oceaned on love, growing as spring's myriad buds, her infinite promises of being, her breasts brimming with love. Yet, as with some several words, the speaking mind would introvert all falsity, all haste of will, deep scarred with fear, numbed blood blue dripping death, its violet hue, shrieking with diabolical cruelty. So let us all seize the great bell of justice, ring out the deep tones, and still the effrontery, as Orpheus did, enlisting nature to our cause through her wide reaches of desire, through magic symmetries of beauty, through her craft of full, slow, homecoming love. Then each of us can find our weavings rendered one. Each touch the heart of each, restored to life, and weave our fragments into a harmony with your bright, radiant light, beyond imagining, moment by moment, healed by your all-encompassing net of song. I love that poem, Song Nets, 1995. I'd like to hear that as music. To me, that should be sung.
Yes, most of your poems tend to be sung.
I'd like, John Tavener could have put this to music. He's a great English modern classical composer who does voice and song. He's done some of Blake's poems with a choir singing this stuff. This would be brilliant, kind of John Tavener style. I think he's dead now. I'm not sure he can do it, but somebody else could. I don't have time. But as a challenge, somebody please put this to music, this poem.
What kind of instruments would you like?
Well, no, just voice would
Just
be enough.
voice.
Maybe a few simple things. But at the funeral of Princess Diana, who I greatly respected,
Elton
She-
John.
she died, in a car crash in Paris.
Oh yes, I tried to for one time I thought I knew what you were about to say. I think to remember that Elton John played for her funeral.
I don't remember that, did he?
I think so.
It was in Westminster Abbey. and they did a John Tavener song as well.
Okay.
Like a very with high voices raising into the, the Gothic Abbey of Westminster Abbey. That'd be lovely. I could see this in the same style. And by the way, it's great that Notre Dame has been rebuilt. We should fill that with music too. Songs. So the song nets. I mean, it's written, for the divine. I cast a net to catch you in. The U's got a capital Y. It's me looking for God, trying, making a net of words and books to catch God. But then eventually I find I've been caught.
Right.
I'm just one little fish in his net, in his net of song. Anyway, there we are. Good place to finish.
Aye, very well done.
Thank you so much. Voila. And may everyone have a great week. And may the gods look over us all. Especially Dagda, El, and Baal. Thank you.
Thank you.